What do you guys want to talk about?
Let me talk to you.
Yeah!
Throwdown Nation, we are live. It is a Friday night. We are rolling on Instagram, on YouTube, on Twitter/X, on Facebook, and on Twitch. It is episode 128 of the Throwdown, and tonight we are throwing down with Orlando-based pro wrestler Maxx Danziger. Max trains at the House of Champions, and coincidentally, he is also the drummer for the rock band Set It Off. How you doing tonight, Max?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Like I said before we went live, man, I've been looking forward to this one. And for those of you that are watching this live, if you have questions or comments, just throw them in the chat and we'll either handle them as we go or do a little Q&A at the end. So we'll go ahead and get started with the first and the most obvious question, and that is, how long have you been wrestling?
It's a good question. It's a bit of a loaded question. So I started my wrestling journey at the beginning of 2024.
Okay.
However, generally when someone starts training at a school, they kind of go nonstop. I also play in a band, drummer for Set It Off, and so we take these months off to go on tour.
Right.
So I would say about a year now, if I were to guess, but it's been so on and off that it's kind of all over the place. My life gets thrown 100% into music, and then when I'm home, it's all the way in on wrestling. So, I'd say about a year if I were to give you a firm answer.
Gotcha. Well, sort of piggybacking onto that, how long have you been playing drums?
I started playing drums at 10 years old. And again, on and off, I really started taking it seriously at about 14. Started playing every day. I really, really wanted to join a band. I joined my first real band at about 16. And from there, it's just been my entire life.
Nice. So, I know that you train at House of Champions. Has that been pretty much your training home, or have you trained anywhere else?
Yes, so I got very lucky, I would say. There's so many schools around the world, but especially in Orlando. Orlando has become kind of a hub for wrestling. And again, I'd never done this before, so I had no idea what to expect. We looked up a bunch of different schools, and different things work for different people. I'm not going to knock any other school or how they do things because they've also had success. But a lot of these schools are term-based, I guess is how I would say. So you go in there for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, you learn everything, and then you're free to go. My issue with that, for me personally, is that some things take a little bit longer to learn. I don't want to rush through this because you're out here, you're putting your body on the line, you're trying to protect the people that you're working with. And I had never played any sports before. I wasn't much of an athlete growing up. I didn't know anything about footwork or anything like that. So I wanted the option to really, really get good. I didn't want to be good enough. I wanted to be the best that I possibly could be. Exactly. Yeah. So the House of Champions in Longwood basically has you work on these fundamentals until you're ready to move on to the next thing. So a lot of this stuff is like building blocks, right? So you start with rolls, and then once you're done with your rolls, you work on to, bumping, and then after that you can work on chain. And a lot of this stuff, you need to learn the first thing before you learn the second thing. You need to learn how to take a regular bump before you learn how to take a flip bump. And
crawl before you walk.
Exactly. That kind of mindset. Instead of just trying to rush through it and, work shows as fast as I could, I wanted to get good. I wanted to impress people when I went out there for the first time. And the HOC is just, in my opinion, it's just one of the best schools you can possibly go to. Not only do they teach you the physical part, but also the mental part, the why. Wrestling is so much about psychology, and you're trying to tell this story inside and outside the ring. And while they're doing this, they're going, the reason this makes sense is because X, Y, and Z. And on top of that, they also teach you how to market yourself. You know, when you start wrestling, you become a product. You have to get out there and sell yourself. And they just really cover every single thing you need to know. They help work on your character. They help work on your promos. It was just an all-in-one, and it was a no-brainer for me. I went there for the first time, and outside of just, you know, how great the facility was, what really drew me in was the community. If you ever come to an HOC show, you'll feel it. Everyone is so welcoming and so kind. So much of wrestling, everyone's just kind of looking out for themselves, and you hear these horror stories about people just being jerks. Oh, yeah. And I never experienced that at the HOC. Everyone is rooting for everyone. There's this mentality that, like, we can all win. We can all succeed in this. You don't have to step on necks to get ahead. So
a rising tide lifts all ships.
Exactly. So, no, I've checked out a couple schools when I travel for work. You know, if there's a school nearby, I'll go in, and I've had some great experiences. But no, the HOC is home. I love it there.
Absolutely. And, you know, I've had, I think you're the third person I've had from HOC on there. And man, you know, you can just tell by the enthusiasm that y'all have something special. I've had Mo Malik, and I've had Matthew Ennis. And man,
I hate both those guys so much, but you know, they are good. And the reason that they're good is because, you know, partially because they go to the Hawk. They had the talent. They just needed a place to kind of to hone it in. I don't like them personally, but I can't deny their talent. So
exactly. Speed round. Jeff Cobb.
I haven't actually gotten to see much of Jeff Cobb. So I don't have a lot to go on other than what I've seen in the WWE, but I would just say athletic and strong. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Is this guy is strong.
He is a powerful big boy. I mean, you know, take the time to look up some of his stuff from New Japan.
Okay.
Because I mean, the guy is amazing, and I mean, you know, he wrestled in the Olympics for Guam.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Back in the day, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I had heard
he's got an amateur background.
That makes sense. Yeah, I had heard hype around him, and I kept meaning to check out some of his stuff. But then when I saw him in WWE, I was like, well, I guess I'll get a chance to do it here. But obviously, they work a different style than New Japan, so get a different flavor. I'll have to check some of that stuff out
for sure. So, in terms of the early stages of your wrestling training, what was the most difficult aspect of pro wrestling for you to wrap your mind and body around?
Oh, that's a tough question. So much of it I thought was just going to be physical, right? You know, like I mentioned, never played sports growing up, so I thought it was going to be footwork, which I did struggle with. I thought it was, you know, maybe going to be bumps, flip bumps I had some difficulty with. The hardest part for me, and I still struggle with this sometimes, is working and physically doing the things you need to be doing while also thinking about, all right, next I'm going to do this, or I have to get over here to do this. It's so mental as much as it is physical. And I don't think people realize how much has to be going on in your brain at one time. And obviously the more you do it, the easier it comes and the more natural it comes. But I was not expecting that. I mean, everything in wrestling to me was about twice as hard as I thought it was going to be. That's why I think it's so funny now when I see people, you know, criticize who have never done this before. It's like, you know, fall on the mat a single time. Try running the ropes. And you'll see that not only is it difficult, it also hurts. All of it hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say that. I would say the mental and physical combination, both of those together, was probably the most difficult thing for me.
Gotcha. So what is you know, you mentioned that you've been a fan since I think you said you were around 8.
7 years old.
what do you remember as being your earliest wrestling related memory?
I love this story because it kind of reminds me why I fell in love with this in the first place. So my dad has been a wrestling fan for his entire life. Mm-hmm. And he was watching Monday Night Raw, and I just happened to walk in, and he went, do you want to check this out? I think it's pretty cool. And my first memory was, it was some sort of interaction with Dude Love and Stone Cold Steve Austin. I believe Dude Love had become corporate in some way, and I just remember hearing how loud the crowd was for Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I thought that was pretty cool. But what really drew me in, what really got my attention was I have always been a fan of monster movies, Godzilla specifically, horror movies, these scary, mythical creatures destroying everything. And the first time I saw Kane is a moment I will never forget. I had seen these characters like this in movies and TV shows, but this guy was real. He was walking through a crowd, and I just fell in love with wrestling. And I think because of that, I've always had a love for the supernatural aspect of wrestling as well. I know a lot of people think it's kind of cheesy, and oh my God. I can't do anything without this guy following me around. What are you, my biggest fan?
You want to mention my name and talk about how much you hate me, and you think I'm not going to appear? You think you're going to come on and disrespect me, get your little fans going, and you think I'm not going to retaliate? You bring this on yourself, pretty boy.
It's so perfect that every time I get on a screen and people are watching, you happen to show up. How does it feel? Is it hard to ride my coattails? What's that like? Matthew
Ennis. Ride your coattails. The fact that you think your little band popularity matters anything in wrestling is absolutely asinine and insane. Listen here, kid. I've been doing this for 10 years, and I've been doing it at a way higher level than probably you'll ever hope to aspire. So I hope you cling to that little fame and popularity your band has, because it's going to go just like your wrestling career is going to go. You're going to be a flash in the pan. And especially when that day comes that you think you're going to cash in that little briefcase and I break your arm and you don't have a career anymore, you're going to look back on conversations like this and you're going to say, wow, I really screwed up by disrespecting this guy and making him put his focus on me. And I just want you to remember that. So goodbye, Max. See you soon. Keep talking about me and letting me put you over, because I am your HOC champion.
Wow. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you one thing, just real quick. He might not think that the popularity of my band matters, but this matters. This is a briefcase that I won that guarantees me a title shot at a time and place of my choosing. So he can talk.
Oh, so the HOC version of Money in the Bank.
Exactly. And Matthew Ennis, if you didn't know, somehow has become our HOC champion. The world is truly turned upside down. But the thing is, it's only a matter of time. And the people at the HOC, I might not be their favorite, but after I take that championship off of Ennis, I'm going to be a hero. They're going to throw me a parade. I'm going to be the biggest star in the HOC, and he's going to be what he always is, a big crybaby.
Well, time will tell.
Where were we before I was interrupted by that idiot?
We were talking about early wrestling-related memories.
Yes, Kane was really, really what drew me in. The story with him and The Undertaker is still, I think it is my favorite story in wrestling history. But I just love the idea that you can get these more grounded characters, and then you can also have a literal demon from hell.
Yeah.
Where else can you get that? So
Exactly. that's really some of the beauty of professional wrestling. Just about anything can be portrayed,
Yeah,
and
I was just gonna say there's something for everyone.
yeah.
I my fiance hadn't watched wrestling before, but she was a big fan. She had worked at Halloween Horror Nights. She's also a big horror fan, and so I showed her the Fiend's entrance, and she fell in love with that. And from there, she really enjoyed like Becky Lynch's work and really got into the women's division. And it's just truly like when I hear people be like, I don't like wrestling. I'm like, have you really given it a shot? Have you really watched it, or have you just heard stories? Because I'm sure there's something in there that you will love.
Oh, for sure. And man, Bray Wyatt, what a loss. I mean, probably the most singularly creative mind in the business.
Yeah, I mean, I just talked about how seeing Kane for the first time as a child made me feel. And obviously when you're younger, it's a lot easier for something to make an impression on you. Once you get older, you get a little more jaded, you've seen some stuff, it gets harder to be impressed. And I remember seeing Bray Wyatt for the first time, and every incarnation of him blew me away. The first time I saw the Fiend's entrance, I mean, I'm an adult at this point.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was 7 years old again. I jaw on the floor, just captivated. I love when people are able to think outside the box, and Bray Wyatt is the definition of that. And
oh, for sure.
Again, a massive loss and a huge inspiration to not only me, but almost everyone in the wrestling world. You hear so many stories, people that have met him, people that watched him. He affected so many people in such a wonderful way.
Oh, for sure. So, and this is kind of a piggyback question to the question we just wrapped up, and that is, what was the first live music show you attended as a fan? What was your first rock show?
My first rock show. This is another one of those wonderful, wonderful memories. I was 12 years old.
Okay.
And it was around my birthday, and my sister, who is very cool, decided she was going to a concert, and it was Blink-182, which was my favorite band. I found them when I was 8 years old. It was the reason I started drumming, and it was Blink-182, Green Day, and Jimmy Eat World, which is an unbelievable lineup. People still talk about that tour to this day, Pop Disaster 2002, and she invited me to go, and I lost my mind. I was so excited, and it was a similar feeling to watching wrestling for the first time, being there and feeling the electricity in the crowd. When the band finally came on stage, just these larger than life people playing these songs I had heard. I'd burned out that CD. I played it about 100 times, but seeing them play it live was just, I was starstruck. And again, I saw them on that stage and went, that's what I want to do. I want to do what they're doing. I want to be that. And I still can't believe that I, to an extent, get to do that I get to go on stage and be on the opposite side of the coin. I never take it for granted. And like recently we just played a couple rock festivals, Sonic Temple and Rockville.
Yeah.
And for the first two songs, I don't even remember playing the song because I was just looking out at the crowd being like, I can't believe that this is happening. I can't believe that this is my life. I'm so fortunate. The fact that people care and like the art that we make is just unbelievable. That feeling has never gone away. I've been chasing that since I was 12, and I've been very fortunate to make it a part of my life.
That is awesome. Speed round. John Bonham.
Oh, wow. Innovative. That's the first word that comes to mind, is innovative. That whole band is just so good. But especially, I would say specifically, like Tom work, his fills were so unique. To this day, like you'll do a certain type of fill and be like, oh, that's a John Bonham fill. That's definitely inspired by him. Yeah, I remember seeing a drum solo of his where, and I don't know if this was intentional or not. I don't know if he dropped the sticks or threw the sticks, but then he started just drumming with his hands on the drums, which I don't know if anyone has tried that. It hurts a lot.
I could imagine.
Yeah, but I just remember thinking like, man, this guy's creative. Man, same thing with, like I mentioned before with Bray, is like just outside the box. It's so hard to think. You have to have a special kind of mind to think that way. And yeah, just what an inspiration.
Absolutely. So, away from wrestling and away from music, what are some of your other hobbies and interests? You probably don't have a lot of time for anything else, but what do you like to do?
Man, I love movies. And that has actually been that ends up inspiring me in music and wrestling as well. But me and my fiance just love going to the movies. Even if it's a bad movie, we're just like, we get popcorn and we get M&Ms, and the whole experience of going is so wonderful. I've got 2 dogs and a cat. I love animals. I spend so much of my time at home just like surrounded by little animals, which is fantastic. Photography.
What kind of dogs do you have?
So I've got a French bulldog named Bear, who is full of personality, and I have so we gave him I adopted him from a shelter in Los Angeles when I lived out there, and gave him a DNA test, and apparently he is a German Shepherd Chihuahua mix. His name is Crash.
Interesting.
Yes, he's very
Nice.
interesting. One of the sweetest dogs you'll ever meet. And then I have how old are we now? Let's see, 14-year-old calico cat named Pistol, who I got like right when I moved out of Orlando for the first time, and she's been my ride or die. She's wonderful. She's more popular than I am, honestly. People love that cat, and so do I. So I just love spending time with them. Obviously, spending time with my fiance. We love going on adventures. We live in Orlando, so the theme parks.
Oh yeah, and plenty to do.
Exactly. Outside of that, a lot of nerd stuff. Like I like Magic the Gathering a lot. Board games. Been playing some D&D lately. So that's a part of my life that I was very painfully uncool growing up.
Weren't we all?
Exactly. Yeah. And so a lot of those have kind of I kept those hobbies. I wanted to make sure that I didn't stop doing stuff just because people didn't think it was cool. It's important to find the stuff that you like. So, video games. I love a good video game. Just getting out in nature. I do swimming. I love, and I never thought that I would say this. This has become such a huge part of my life, and if me 5 years ago heard about this, he would think I was insane, but I love weightlifting. Going to the gym makes me feel good. Unfortunately, all those annoying people on the internet that are like, get some sunlight, work out, it'll make you feel better. Unfortunately, they were right. It did make me feel better. So that's been a huge part of my life, has been working out as well, which helps me with wrestling and drumming. So
Gotcha. So out of curiosity, have you found that the wrestling training that you have undergone and the different aspects and such, has that in any way helped you as a rock performer?
I think from a mental standpoint, yes. So sometimes on tour, me and our singer Cody will switch. His first instrument was drums, and so every now and again I'll get to go sing a song and he will play drums. And
that's cool.
Yeah, and so the moment before we play, and even getting the crowd into it, I started thinking about it a little bit more like a wrestling promo. The cadence and how to get people to pay attention and when to make noise, things like that. So from a mental aspect, yes. Physically, and I don't know the science behind this, and it sucks, but my wrestling conditioning is completely different than my drumming conditioning. So when I get on tour, the first couple shows, I'm gassed. I'm tired. I'm going to have to build that back up again. And then when I come home and start wrestling again, I'm, out of breath 5 seconds into the ring. So you would think it'd be similar, but it's two
not.
entirely different kinds, which is endlessly frustrating. But, there's nothing you can do about it. So, yeah, I'd say there's certain things. And again, and vice versa, too. Like, there's certain things from a music standpoint or a rock show that I'm trying to incorporate into wrestling as well.
Gotcha. So, they say that the best wrestling personas are essentially usually yourself turned up to 11.
Yeah.
So tell us about in-ring Maxx and kind of compare and contrast him with both everyday you and on stage Maxx.
It's a great question. I think I mentioned earlier about playing shows and how much it means to me and how grateful I am. I would say Wrestling Maxx is a version of me in which, what if I wasn't grateful? What if I was narcissistic and thought I deserved this, and not only deserve this, but deserve more, and that all of this success is simply because I'm the greatest? It's like darkest timeline, Maxx Danziger, which has been a fun journey to go down. And a lot of this has come from me seeing other musicians who have, either become jaded or what people thought I would be like, people's perceptions of me. I've got this mask here. Which again, it's here. It's kind of become my logo, and the idea is like,
I really dig that mask.
Thank you so much.
It almost reminds me of some of Jason Baker's work with Bray.
Very inspired by that. I kind of wanted to tie in a little bit of the surreal, but without going too overboard. But it's like, it's kind of people's perceptions of me as, what if I was like a cocky, two-faced snake, willing to do whatever it takes, willing to step on whoever to get ahead, and so self-absorbed, which has been a fun thing to play. It's like if I took, and again, like you mentioned, it helps if it's based in reality. So it's taking the confidence that I have on stage. Because when I walk on stage, and advice for anyone, whether you're playing shows or wrestling or whatever, performing in any aspect, people can tell if you're not confident. You have to go out there the moments before going, I am the greatest at this. I am so good at this, and I'm going to show them how good I am at this. Because if you don't, they can tell. So taking that and kind of twisting it to just be a jerk. Just be an absolute jerk. So, Real Maxx is incredibly thankful and grateful for every single person that comes to a show, whether it's wrestling or music. And in-ring Maxx, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about you. So, which is funny, one of the things that I experienced early on, because obviously working these shows at the HOC, it's public, so anyone can come. So Set It Off fans would show up, which is wonderful. And I go out there and I'm supposed to be booed. And there's this beautiful mix of cheers and boos. And at first I was worried, I was like, is this bad? Because no matter what I would do, there would still be people cheering for me. And a lesson that I learned very early on in wrestling is that as long as you're getting a reaction, then you're doing something right. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. And it's a rare reaction to get both cheers and boos. There's only a couple people that come to mind when I can think of it. John Cena, which fantastic comparison because he also has a platinum record. So it's good. It's a good trying to height to reach, but I've really embraced it. It's really been fun to not change anything that I'm doing and still work the way that I'm working, but get the reactions that I'm getting. It's been wonderful.
Absolutely. Speed round. Will Ospreay.
The first word that comes to mind is jealous. I'm so jealous that he can do the things that he can do. It's like watching a video game, man. Like
it really is. The guy is just unreal.
Yeah, it's out. Like you look at the first thing you think of is the high flying stuff, right? And that's all great, but everything that he does is so crisp. Even simple chain wrestling is just perfect. It's so rare that you ever see even a moment where you're like, oh, that looked a little weird. Everything looks crisp. That hidden blade, that move is. It's
sick.
It's deceptively difficult. Like it looks at first you're like, oh, that's simple. Anyone can do that, but they can't do it the way that he can do it, and that's why no one else does it. It's like it's so good. He's just so good, and he's got this this different kind of charisma. You know, like when you think of classic charisma, you think of like Shawn Michaels or like L.A. Knight is very like. This is textbook wrestling charisma. He's got something else. It's like he's like a guy you just want to go have a beer with. Type vibe.
It's like charisma meshed with relatability.
Yes. I don't think that he's, like we mentioned earlier about trying to fuse it in to who you are as a real person. It really feels like he goes out there and is just like, I'm just talking. This is just me. And it works.
Yeah.
Wish I could do half the stuff that he can do. It's incredible.
I mean, he is just otherworldly.
Oh yeah.
So, tell us about your very first match. What was it like? How did it go? What were your thoughts?
So technically my first match was a battle royal, but it was fairly uneventful. My first match was a triple threat match with Mo Malik and a guy Casey Rocker, who he's unbelievable, great wrestler. We're actually working a show coming up for NWA Texas, which I'm very excited about. But this triple threat match, a lot of times with one-on-one matches, you can just kind of go out there and be like, yeah, whatever happens, happens. This one we had to you kind of know what's going on going into it. It's a lot to remember, and it's so funny to go back and watch because I'm rushing through that match. I'm flying through that match because the adrenaline hits, and you're like, I have to go as fast as I possibly can. And I was so exhausted by the end of it, and everything went okay. It was fine. We had a vet in there who had been doing this for a while. I was just so excited. And I remember the feeling of I'd been training for so long and was so nervous about actually getting hit or something like really hurting or something like that during training. And then the second the bell rang for an actual match, I was like, you could hit me in the face and I would be totally fine. I would actually prefer it. Like there's a weird feeling that happens the second the bell rings and you're in front of a crowd where you're just willing to do whatever it takes to put on a performance for these people. So that was a wonderful experience. My first one-on-one match was with Mo Malik, and again, learning experience. I can't watch the match again because I personally am embarrassed by it. Just learning about what to do, what not to do. But the only way to really do it, because you can train all you want, the only way you can really learn is by having the matches, by getting those reps in. So as much as I didn't love how the match went, it is cool to see me now and reference that to contrast to that, because in such a short amount that was in December of 2024. And the matches that I've had since, I've just leaps and bounds above. So it's tough. It's like taking a before and after picture. Like you don't want to take the before picture. It's going to suck, but it's worth doing because then you can look back and go on days, especially where you're frustrated or you're having a hard time or think that you haven't progressed. It's nice to have that to be able to look back at. And I beat up Mo. I hurt his knee, which is wonderful. I always love beating up Mo. Guy deserves it. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So, you know, we've heard about the first match. Now tell us about your favorite match that you've been a part of.
Oh yeah. It's oh man, Tournament of Champions. This was was it last month? 2 months ago? I don't know, time isn't real, but I was in it was supposed to be a triple threat ladder match and became a fatal 4-way for this briefcase, actually. Climb the ladder, grab the briefcase. This is probably, my 4th or 5th official match. And I don't know how most people do with wrestling, but a ladder match is usually not their 5th match.
Right.
I was on tour at the time, so I hadn't been training. We were on tour with Hollywood Undead and Tech 9. Amazing tour. Had a great time. We played North Dakota, and then we had a day off. So I flew home from Minneapolis, day of show, got in, wrestled that ladder match, and then the next day flew back out to Milwaukee the next day. That match, wow. I remember going over it. I walk in and we're talking it through. It was me, Mo Malik, Keikoa, who's my coach, and Blanco Loco, who is another coach at another school. And I cannot remember the name of the school. It's Aleister Black's school, which I'm completely blanking on the name. But again, another fantastic wrestler. And I just, before the match starts, I just climb the ladder. And I'm scared of heights. All right, let's get that out of the way right now. I'm scared of heights. And I'm on the ladder and I'm thinking, what am I doing? Like, I can't believe that I'm doing this. I'm terrified. I'm so scared. Yeah. I'm trying to remember everything. I'm so worried I'm going to screw everything up. Just the confidence isn't. Dark Arts Gym, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Thank you, Unicorn Art 257. I appreciate that. Yeah, I just scared, right? And we're going over through everything. And the second my music hits and I walk through the curtain, it all just melts away. And the only emotion I have is excitement. I'm so excited.
They say adrenaline is a hell of a drug.
It is addicting. It is addicting. Again, same thing. I went in there and I was like, if I fall off a ladder, I fall off a ladder. Who cares? Yeah. So I get in there, and it was my first time getting to work an actual show with my coach. If you haven't checked out any of Keikoa's stuff, he's a wonderful coach, but he's also just so good. He's so good, and everything that he does in the ring is just unbelievable. We get in there and just have the time of our lives. I'm getting thrown into ladders. I'm pushing people off of ladders. I'm hitting people with chairs. And my dad's there, and my fiance is there. And the very end of the match, Mo is climbing that ladder. I hit him right in the knee, his injured knee, with a chair.
Nice.
And he can't stand up. I climb that ladder and I grab the briefcase, and whew.
What a moment.
I mentioned earlier about the feeling of watching Blink-182 on stage as a kid and thinking, like, one day I'm going to get to switch spots. I would hope to be in their spot. And I was just thinking back to, Edge and CM Punk and all these Money in the Bank winners. And even ladder match winners in general. Being on top of that ladder and having my music play is something that I never thought that I would ever get to experience. This is the worst question I've ever seen. Chris D just asked, is Mo Malik a better drummer than you? Oh man, look, because I'm not gonna lie to you, and Mo Malik is a fantastic wrestler. I can't deny that. He's got charisma, he's got strength, he's got agility. But the one thing that he does not have over me is being a better drummer. I could wipe the floor with that guy in a drum solo. And also, how dare you, Christy? How dare you even assume? It's ridiculous. This is ridiculous. That must be a Mo burner account.
Probably. So, I'm sure it's a long and convoluted story, but if you can kind of nutshell it, tell us about your history with Set It Off. How did all of that come about?
Sure. So I was living in Orlando, and I had just left a local band that I was in, and I was, asking around. I really, really wanted to tour in a band. I was going to college, but I had no idea what I wanted to do. All I knew is that I wanted to play drums in some form or fashion. Mutual friend of mine mentioned, hey, there's a band that's actually gone out on a couple of tours out in Clearwater that's looking for a drummer. They've got this whole audition process, and you had to basically send in a bunch of videos of you drumming and then a video of you talking. And I sent it in. They invited me in to do an in-person audition. I had to learn a song in 30 minutes. Just classic drummer stuff.
Yeah.
I was so shy at the time. I was such a different person then. I was barely talking. I was so nervous. And they said, "Hey, yeah, let's do a trial run on this thing. So we'll do a tour, and if we like the fit, then we'll keep going." So it was my first real tour. I had been on a 2-week run at one point, but this was all over the United States. Went all the way to California, up to Canada. It was 3 months.
Nice.
And I really bonded with these people. It felt like I knew them way longer than just a couple months. I guess living in a van with them will do that to you. But
yeah,
at the end of that run, they invited me to be a part of Set It Off. I called my dad and went, "Hey, Dad, please don't hate me, but I'm going to take some time off of, from going to college to try and pursue this thing." And he said, "Yeah, as long as the arrow is pointing up and the band continues to succeed, you don't want to live your life with regrets," which I always very much appreciate, because you hear stories, there's so many stories of performers, wrestlers, and musicians where their family just doesn't support them. They don't support the dream. And he did. He told me later that he thought that, I'd miss a semester and then I'd probably go back to college, but he never expected, and I never expected, for it to turn into a full-time job. So yeah, I've been with them ever since. That was my first tour with them was 2010. And it's been my life ever since.
Here we are 15 years later.
It's crazy. Time flies.
That is so cool.
Yeah, don't look up photos of me from then. I look like a much different person. I had a nice Justin Bieber haircut. Nice. I was 90 pounds soaking wet. Different guy, but yeah.
Speed round. Neil Peart.
Oh, okay. So maybe one of the most influential prog rock drummers of all time. Went into a huge prog rock phase, and he was a big part of it. The band that I was in before Set It Off was experimental prog pop rock, I guess is what we would call it. The band was called Sound Cannon, and
well, I like the name.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, again, it's similar to Will Ospreay, and it's annoying how good you are. You can do all these things, and you can think. Yeah. You're like, how does your brain work that way? That's incredible. And also a great performer live. Just frustratingly good.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you could only be one, would you rather be great in the ring or great on the mic?
If I could only be one, great on the mic. I think I mentioned this earlier, but I was never an athlete growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, and at the age that I'm at, and just being realistic, I'm not going to be a Will Ospreay. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
I wish I could, but what gets people to come in, generally speaking, what gets people to sit down and pay for a ticket and watch you perform is the character, the story.
Yep, the storytelling.
So you can be a huge inspiration for me, and people always get surprised when I say this, is The Miz. The Miz, he got he's starting to get his flowers now, and thank God. But for so long, people would harp on him because he wasn't doing all this crazy stuff in the ring, but he got you to hate him. He got you to invest in the stories and almost never got injured. He was so reliable. He was so safe. Everything that he did do was really, really good. One thing that I learned from a Bobby Fish, another coach at the HOC.
Oh, I love Bobby Fish.
Oh, he's wonderful. He's taught me a different flavor than I'm used to in wrestling. He focuses more kind of on like shoot style, which is great because I never did any boxing or Muay Thai or anything like that, so it gives me something new to add to my arsenal. But he mentioned focusing on your strengths. So there's a couple people that can do it all. You know, you look at Kurt Angle or Eddie Guerrero, and these people have everything, but not everyone can be that fortunate. So if you're really good at something, instead of trying to be something you're not, just double down on that and
play to your strengths.
Exactly. So yeah, I would say on the mic, the character work. That's why I fell in love with wrestling in the first place. I don't need to do a reverse 450 splash. If I can just get the crowd to hate me, I can just punch someone in the face and have the same effect.
Exactly. So, do you have an all-time favorite match as a fan? A match that you just find yourself gravitating back to? It's almost like comfort food.
I think the match that I've watched the most, the match that I've probably watched the most is the first two TLCs. I don't know if those would be my favorites, but they are the ones that, like, every time I watch it, I'm like, man, this is wonderful. This is incredible. It's like watching a car crash, man. And then knowing what I know now about how much everything actually hurts is just the dedication that they had to putting their bodies on the line. Outside of that, the first Elimination Chamber, one, it was absolutely stacked. Like, all of them are legends, Hall of Famers. But two, I started watching wrestling pretty soon around the time that Shawn Michaels disappeared because of his back injury. So I didn't get to see 80s, early 90s Shawn Michaels. I had no idea really who he was. And so he comes back, and we almost had a career-ending injury. Back injury is very serious.
Oh, for sure.
He comes back into this, this giant death trap, and he could have played it safe, and he didn't. He went all out, and it was such a perfect mix of high-flying, high-risk moves, this hardcore element to it, and such a good story. The Shawn Michaels Triple H feud is one of the best, and there's just so much lore to that Elimination Chamber. I had seen, Hell in a Cells, and I had seen Steel Cages, but that was, it's a beast. It's a monster. It blew my mind. A match I've been watching recently that has quickly become one of my favorites is Jericho Michaels WrestleMania 19. I'm a huge fan of both of those guys. They're a huge inspiration for me. And for those of you that haven't watched it, Jericho was a childhood fan of Michaels. He wanted to be just like him, and he now feels that he has surpassed Shawn Michaels. He thinks that Shawn Michaels is past his prime, and he deserves to get the praise that Shawn Michaels does. And the whole match is Jericho confident, cocky, trying to prove that he's better than Michaels, and Michaels showing that he's still got it. And every single strike, every kick, every punch, every move, everything mattered in that match. Everything told that story. It's unbelievable. It's a super, super underrated match. I'm a big fan. There's a bunch. I mean, Austin Rock at 17.
Oh, yeah.
There's all the classics, Brett and Austin, but everyone says those because they're great. So, yeah.
Yep. you're sort of in kind of rarefied air to some extent with Jericho, because you both have managed to have a career in both wrestling and rock.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's like I said, to be able to make both dreams come true is something special.
Yeah, I haven't personally met Jericho, but I do believe we've been on some of the same festivals. His band Fozzy and my band Set It Off. So it is funny, like seeing the path. I mean, he kind of did it the opposite way that I'm doing it, where he was doing wrestling first and then transitioned. But it is funny. There's a couple examples. I cannot remember his name, but I remember meeting the guitarist of Every Time I Die at a Warped Tour, and finding out that he was training to become a wrestler. And I thought that was so cool. I was asking him a ton of questions. I was punishing this guy because I was like, "That's so awesome. What's it like?" And then turns out I see him on AEW a couple years ago as the Butcher, and I was like, "Hang on a second."
Okay,
yeah, I was like, "I know that guy. I know that guy from Warped Tour." So it's just great to see. Like, there is such a huge crossover between rock music and wrestling, and I can't tell you how many tours I've done where I'm walking around wearing a Sting shirt, and one of the other bands is like, you watch wrestling, and then we just nerd out about wrestling for a while. So it's cool. I would love to kind of help build a bridge, and it's already happening. You're seeing so many bands perform at these big pay-per-views, and one of the guys from, I think, what band was it, Slayer, was wearing a Penta costume for one of his. Yeah. It's like you're starting to see these things. Bad Bunny, obviously. It's just very cool. It's very cool to see.
It really is, and there is so much, like you were saying, that there's so much crossover within the talent and the fans.
Yeah, I mean, at Rockville, I saw, a bunch of wrestlers. They were just, just fans walking around enjoying the show, and vice versa. So it's cool to see those worlds kind of meld.
Oh, for sure. So, and this can be present day or past. Who would be a dream opponent? Who would you love to have the chance to share a ring with?
Oh, there's so many.
I know.
Nick Nemeth is the first one that comes to mind. I don't think I've ever seen him have a bad match.
No.
Man. Chris Jericho, Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle would be unbelievable. He would out-wrestle the hell out of me. It'd be amazing. Eddie Guerrero would be unbelievable. I think working someone like The Undertaker, just a vet, who's been doing this and knows. There's something so, especially as someone who's a little more green, there's something so comforting about going in with someone who's been doing this a while, especially at the level that The Undertaker has. It just really takes the pressure off, because you're like, I'm just going to listen to you, man. Like, you tell me. So, I mean, like so many other people, I'm such a big Jeff Hardy fan. I think a Jeff Hardy match would be so much fun. Matt Cardona. Cardona would be a lot of fun. He's another guy where, like, he can do a bunch of crazy stuff. Oh, yeah. But he's all about telling the story. He's all about doing less. And I love his mindset. I think he's just figured out an entirely new way to promote yourself, which is incredible. And his matches are great. So this list could go on for like
for sure.
10 minutes.
But the thing about Cardona also is, very early on, he cracked the code for going viral. I mean, so
he's been doing it for so long. But I mean, even so, he wasn't getting TV time.
Right.
And he still was able to, he used YouTube at the time to really make a name for himself. But it's even crazier what he did once he wasn't in WWE anymore.
Right.
I mean, the way that people at least used to look at the indies was a downgrade. They used to go, oh, well, you're not on TV or you're not on the big show, so who cares? He
now
made
it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was a huge part in making it important, making it cool again. Like, it almost feels like, a new version of the territories. This guy goes to all of these different, states and countries, and everyone knows the guy. He goes in, he wins, he leaves. It's so cool to see someone in a business where for so long you were reliant on other people. He bet on himself and he made himself a commodity, and now he gets to make his own schedule and do whatever he wants to do. It's truly inspiring.
Nice problem to have.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Speed round. Trey Miguel.
From Green Day?
No,
that's Trey Cool.
Yeah.
Who's Trey Miguel?
Trey Miguel is he is a wrestler in TNA.
I don't think I've heard him. Is he good?
Really?
Yeah.
You need to check out on TNA. There is a tag team called the Rascals.
Okay, I've heard of them.
Trey Miguel is part of the Rascals, and they are fun.
Okay.
I think you would really dig the Rascals.
I'm gonna write that down right now. Trey Miguel.
Check them out. Yeah, Trey Miguel.
What's their style, if you had to sum it up?
They're similar to like the Motor City Machine Guns,
but cool.
Very fast, agile.
Yeah.
They're fun. They're fun.
I think tag team wrestling is an underrated art form, and I'm very excited to. Me and Casey Rocker are gonna start doing some tag work together, and I'm so excited to see where that goes. I mean, primarily I've been a singles guy, but I'm really, really excited to start kind of diving through the tag stuff, because it's just, when it's done well, it's unbelievable. It's so much fun. So
yeah. So, what is your favorite move? What is something you just really enjoy doing? And on the flip side of that, is there a move that you won't do, or you would at least rather not do? And that can be giving or receiving. Okay.
My favorite move to do. I love hitting a good spear. It's been my finish. It just, when you do it right, the crowd goes crazy and it feels good. There's a reason why so many people do it. I love a good DDT. I think that it's it's been a little overused, but when you do it right, when it's in the right spot, man, it's so satisfying.
Oh, it is.
Oh yeah. And then moves that I don't like taking, at least, because a lot of these things, like, they look very cool. I hate being chokeslammed. I don't like it. It hurts a lot.
I can imagine.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what move I actually I think it's just because of the adrenaline. It was my first time in that ladder match. It ended up being like a Tower of Doom spot, but it was essentially a superplex. And there was just this moment where I was in the air, and it felt like time stopped. I was completely upside down, like 12 feet in the air, just going like, this is pretty cool. and then I hit the mat. But for that moment beforehand, it was wonderful. Yeah, so I don't love getting chokeslammed. I haven't been power bombed yet, but I heard it's incredibly unpleasant. And yeah, I mean, I've been kicked in the face, like actually kicked in the face. I got a black eye from that. I got kicked in the neck. I got enziguri'd in the jaw, and it swelled up like a balloon. I looked insane for a couple of days.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, so this wrestling thing, man, it's no joke. But I did have a nice, in that ladder match, if you watch, I take a super kick from Kay, and I had his boot print like on my face.
Nice.
So yeah. But I would say if I had to pick one that I really don't love taking, it's the choke slam.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, what is your take on the role that social media is playing as a promotional tool in wrestling, specifically indie wrestling?
I think it's incredibly vital. It's so important in independent wrestling because, one, it's where everything is going, but two, a lot of these people don't have a syndicated television show. They have no other way of letting people know. I mean, you still see the flyers and things like that, but this is how people get information. And on top of that, there's an algorithm in place where if you're a fan of wrestling, odds are you have a higher chance of seeing that flyer. It's exhausting, I would say, in a music context, for example, you hear a lot of musicians who are complaining about I started a band because I want to play music, and now I have to make a bunch of TikToks of me dancing in order to get people's attention so that they'll actually listen to my music. And there's some validity to that, but I think the ability to promote essentially for free, and if you're good at it and you're dedicated to it, I think it's an unbelievable tool. We just talked about Matt Cardona. I mean, that was primarily through social media. So it is a full-time job. It is incredibly time-consuming, and a lot of times it can be soul-sucking because if you spend too much time on the internet, it makes you sad. So you really need to for your own mental health, it's like suiting up and going into the mines and doing all your social media work and then getting back out into the real world and touching some grass. But I think that as long as there's a healthy balance between those things, I think it's a wonderful tool. I think that if you're not using it as a wrestler, then you're missing a huge opportunity to promote yourself. Again, you're the product. So if you're not willing to put yourself out there and constantly show what you're willing to do, and not only that, but create high quality social media content. I mean, you see a lot of people who are kind of just half-assing it. They're like, I'll just put this up, whatever. Like, that's a reflection of you. If it looks unprofessional, then they're going to think you're unprofessional. So, yeah, it's a big rat race, and it's all crazy, but I do think it's important to do, unfortunately. So,
absolutely. So, knowing everything you know at this point in your life after 35 trips around the sun, if you could give any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
I got a lot of advice. Man, I think that's a really good question. I would say start sooner. Just with everything. Like don't let the fear of failure stop you from doing the thing that you want to do. I wish that I had prioritized my own health earlier. I only started, going to the gym and trying to get in shape in 2023, I think. So much time that I spent sad and tired and miserable, and I didn't know why. And it was like, you're not taking care of yourself. You're not treating yourself the way you deserve to be treated. And just not settling for less, You just keep fighting for more. Wasted a lot of time on people that didn't deserve it. And yeah, you can't get that time back. So, but all of it is a learning lesson, and I don't think I would change anything because I might not be here if that's the case. So, you got to experience life, the good and the bad, and hopefully you can, at least for the bad, take a lesson from it so that you can learn from it for the future.
Absolutely. So, just kind of a quick rundown. What all do you carry in your gear bag? Do you have anything unique or unusual that you carry in your wrestling gear?
Let's see. So the obvious is obviously like my tights, my boots, my knee pads, my elbow pads. I keep a bottle of like a spray bottle of water,
Okay.
because wrestlers just look cooler with wet hair. Look
Yep.
at Triple H. Man
Yep.
looks like he just walked out of the shower every time he walks out, and he looks so cool.
Yeah.
I keep change of clothes. I keep ibuprofen, some snacks, like some Skittles usually, just a little sugar rush before I get out there. Dirty spray from Lush. It's like just a nice smelling spray, so I'm not disgusting. Trying to think if there's anything weird that I keep in there. I wish there was. I wish there was something like super unhinged that I keep in my bag, but no, it's all pretty standard. I mean, you know,
like a human skull or something.
yeah, I should keep something in there to like freak people out, but I don't. No, it's all pretty boring. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
So, in both sides of your life, the music side and the wrestling side, do you have any pre-show traditions? Any things that you try to do consistently before you either walk through the curtain to wrestle or go out on stage?
I'll tell you what I should do is stretch, which I never do. For wrestling and for me and for drumming, but
Right.
For wrestling, generally speaking, we're going over the match. I'm trying to like get some push-ups in, get the blood flowing, try to stretch if there's time. And then there's a moment, I'd say probably if I can get this, which, I don't know if anyone here has been backstage for a wrestling show. It's all chaos all the time. So you don't usually get a minute to just kind of stop. But if I do, I try to take a moment of just try to be mindful and think like, this is really cool. Childhood you would be really excited for you. And then I try and get in character, and I'm like, I'm better than everyone, and everyone here sucks except me, and I deserve all of this, and I'm the greatest. Really try to get into character right before. I want people to I want people who have never seen me when I walk out to hate me just based on my face. And I think that if I can get into the right mindset, I can exude that energy of like, I'm better than you. So yeah. And then for music, I warm up and we usually, play some music and get hype. And then right before we go on stage, I don't know if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan at all, but we do the Kamehameha wave before we go out there. We've been doing it. They've been doing it since before I joined the band. But luckily, I was also a big Dragon Ball Z fan. So
you understood.
Oh yeah, I was like, this is great. Hell yeah, let's do this. And then again, so we do that, and then as the intro is playing, I just kind of take a minute to be like, acknowledge how cool this is, acknowledge how lucky you are, and how much work you put in to be here, and go out and hit the drums as hard as you possibly can. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So something that we've done in all of these that's just been kind of fun is we've let the current guest pose a question for the next guest. And so my previous guest was a wrestler from up in Philadelphia by the name of Houdini.
Okay.
And the question that he posed is, what is your why? Why do you wrestle?
Wow. Why do I wrestle?
Yeah.
I think lately, and I think subconsciously I've been doing this for my entire life, but for me, I think the key to happiness is living out all of the childhood dreams that you had when you were a kid. No matter how silly they are, no matter how dumb they are, I think that's such an important key, because there's something about being younger and being so innocent and open to new things, and you're not worried about if other people think it's cool or not. That's truly when you find the stuff that you really love. And that's not to say that it can happen later. It can't happen later, but usually that kind of stuff. Like, I still love all the same stuff that I did when I was a kid. And I've tried to fulfill those dreams for childhood Max. Like, recently I got this lightsaber, which is a dream of mine that I've always wanted to have a lightsaber. and now I have it. And when I got
Nice.
it, like I felt like I was, 10 years old again. And that feeling is it just makes you happy. It reminds you like, oh yeah, before all of the responsibilities and the taxes, there was just finding what made you happy.
Right.
And wrestling has always made me happy. And when I was a kid, I found wrestling before I found music, and I wanted to be a wrestler. But at the time, wrestlers were all like 7 feet tall and were 350 pounds, all muscle at least.
Yeah.
And again, didn't play any sports, so it really wasn't an option for me. They didn't have schools, what am I going to do, So it just wasn't really an option. I didn't know it was an option until beginning of 2024. My fiance was like, hey, I signed us up for a class. We're going. I didn't even know you could do that. Didn't even know you could. So it was a dream that I thought was impossible to have. And
but if nothing else, what a cool date night.
That's what we thought. We thought we'd go. Yeah. We thought we would go once, and it would be, weird, and then we would go, yeah, what a good memory. And we fell in love with it. We fell in love with the people there. We fell in love with the work ethic, and I think pushing yourself in whatever your passion is, especially stuff that's difficult. When you finally do succeed, it's one of the best feelings in the entire world. Every time I feel like I level up in wrestling, it's so gratifying. And I've been very blessed in that, with music now, when we're on tour, we're gone. I'm gone for 2 months, working every single day. And then when I'm home, I have a lot of downtime.
Yeah.
And I found myself being, kind of getting bummed out, kind of getting sad. Like I didn't have a passion outside of music. And this gives me something to work towards outside of that. So yeah, I would say to chase a passion and to live out my childhood dream. That would be my why.
That's awesome. And, it sounds like you've got a pretty amazing fiance. And I can tell you, from having been married now almost 27 years, when you're with the right person, man, there is nothing like it.
Yeah.
So
I mentioned, obviously I dated people in the past, and none of them watched wrestling with me, and that was fine. I'm not going to make someone do something that they don't want to do.
Right.
But having that with her, especially getting to experience from the other side, watching someone fall in love with it for the first time, going to her first wrestling show, all of these things, being able to talk about wrestling with her, is just like, it's a dream come true. Again, like childhood Max will be losing his mind. It's like, you're talking about wrestling with a hot girl. That's crazy. So, she's so unbelievably supportive. And, there's days, whether it's music or wrestling or whatever, that I come home and I'm just, having a moment of doubt. I'm frustrated, and she's always there to kind of help push me through. And,
awesome.
She's also an unbelievable actor. She's so good. One of the kindest people you ever meet, can play the mean girl so well. And so in the future, I would love to start working with her, as a manager in some context, because there's something really special could happen there, I think. So we've talked a lot about that. She's crazy busy. So she's actually on tour right now. So I get to, the things have kind of flipped, and I get to be the stay-at-home dad now. So, but yeah, Sarah's the best.
Awesome. So, since this is part of a series, do you have a question that you would like to pose to the next guest?
It's a good question.
If you can't come up with anything, you can always DM me later. So, don't feel like you have to come up with something.
If you could snap your fingers and be able to do any move, like you just learned it and you know it and you're going to do it every single time perfectly, what would the move be?
Oh, that is a really cool question. How would you answer that?
What move would I love to do? There's so many. I don't know. That's a great, maybe a, huh. I asked the question. I don't know the answer.
You gotta love it, man.
Oh yeah. I mean, something high flying, again, scared of heights. So I'm working on it, but, I've always just loved the shooting star press. I think it looks so cool. I think when it's done right, and they just fly across. I mean, Billy Kidman's shooting star press. The first time I saw it, I was like, did I just see what I think I saw?
Yeah,
that's crazy. So anything that like Ricochet does, any of that, I'd love to be able to snap my fingers and do that. So,
something that I always dig, because I mean, I'm not a wrestler, so I don't know exactly how it works, but a move that I always just love seeing, because I think it's just like the height of cooperation, is the Spanish Fly.
Oh yeah, that terrifying. I mean, like just doing a backflip at all, but then doing a backflip with someone else's life in your hands. Pretty crazy. So. Oh yeah. There's actually this move I saw on 2K. This is the move that I would pick. So you run out of the corner, and then it's like a Canadian destroyer, but it's a DDT. So it's like a front flipping DDT. Yeah. I don't think anyone's actually done it before. I think it's just for the video game, but yeah, that's what I would want to do.
Nice.
Love a good DDT.
Oh yeah. We're getting toward the end of things, so we're going to be starting to wrap things up. But I got to tell you, it's this has been such a pleasure. I have really enjoyed this conversation, and it's funny. I first encountered Set It Off probably a year to a year and a half ago on Octane on Sirius XM.
Oh, nice.
And the first song I actually heard was Punching Bag. And I thought, that is just such a cool song. Little did I know, a year and a half later, I'd be talking to one of the people from the band that created that song.
There you go. Funny story about that song. So we got signed to a label pretty soon after I joined the band, and had been on that label and then another label for most of our career. And in 2023. I think 2023. I don't know. Time isn't real. But our contract was up with them, and we decided not to re-sign. And we wanted to become an independent band, which is terrifying because, again, it's both hands on the wheel. It's us. So if we succeed, it's us. If we fail, it's on us. And
betting on yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. And up until then, we had never been played on the radio. We hadn't been played on Octane, hadn't been played on terrestrial radio. And, we had asked. We had always been like, hey, can we try and make a push for this? And it just never worked out. And Punching Bag was the very first song we released as an independent band. And it was the very first song that got radio play. So
that's cool.
It was kind of our moment.
That's affirmation.
Exactly. It was like, we made the right choice. And ever since then, we've had Octane is the best. We love them. They've been so kind to us, but we've also gotten terrestrial radio play as well. And the band has grown into something much bigger than I could have ever imagined. And doing it as an independent band has been a dream come true. So definitely still scary sometimes, but we're fortunate to have, and I know a lot of people say this, but like, we have the best fans in the world. They're just wonderful. They come out to shows, they support, they sing loud, they tell their friends, and they're kind to one another. And so we've just been very, very lucky, and I'm excited to see what happens next.
Absolutely. So, that's actually a perfect segue to kind of the final question, and that is, do you have any upcoming shows or anything at all that you'd like to give some hype to? Is there new material coming out on the Set It Off side of things? Lay it on us.
Okay, so there's this running gag in the Set It Off world that I am the guy that like accidentally spoils stuff. So I'm going to try not to do that. But all I'll say is, if you haven't checked out our Instagram lately, you should probably check out our Instagram. there's a new video on there that might grab your attention. That's all I can say, because if not, I'm going to get in trouble. But yes, there is new stuff coming. So.
Gotcha. And on the wrestling side of things, do you have anything you want to give some hype to?
Let's see. So if you haven't checked out a House of Champions show, I'll be on a bunch of those. Make sure to check out. They have all the dates on their website. I will be at NWA Texas in Dallas on.
Nice.
Let me find out. I'm terrible with dates. Where are you? On June 21st. So that'll be my first out of state show. And yeah, I'm trying to get out there and get booked. So if you people out there go to wrestling shows, or you have a promotion that you like, tell them you want to see Maxx Danziger. I would love to wrestle there. So
absolutely. Well, as far as what we've got coming up here on the Throwdown, this coming Tuesday, the 17th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, I've got episode 129 with a guy who is a pro wrestler, a card shark, and a magician, the wild card Ace Diamond. And then Wednesday, the 18th at 7 p.m., I've got episode 130 with a pro wrestling referee by the name of Nick Mitchell. And then this Thursday, the 19th, 7 p.m. Eastern, episode 131 with pro wrestler and ECW original C.W. Anderson.
Yeah, hell of a lineup there.
Yeah, and you know, I'm booked up until toward the end of July. You know, doing 2 to 3 of these a week. And you know, man, like I said, doing these has just been such a joy. And you know, it's a labor of love.
Well, I very much appreciate it, and I appreciate you taking the time to shine a light on up and coming wrestlers, and yeah, it means a lot, and I very much appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time, because I know you've got a crazy busy life. So the fact that you took the time to do this means a lot to me.
Happy to do it. Yeah, it was a wonderful conversation. I had a great time. Can't wait to do it again.
Absolutely. And for those of you that have been watching this live, thank you. For those of you that'll be seeing this on replays and such, thank you for that. If you like what we've got going here, you know, go on to my link tree, go to all of my various socials and do the like, comment, share, and subscribe thing. And until Tuesday, be good to each other, love each other.